Hey Matt, what you doing there?
Hi.
Hi.
Just getting the setup for the load distributing hitch so we can go get the tractor.
A tractor?
Yep.
What tractor?
Glenn.
A tractor named Glenn?
Yes. It is a 1956 Ford 640. So hopefully in the next week or so we can go get that.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So you've been doing a little bit of auto work the past few days, huh?
Yeah. Had to re-weld the shock mount onto the rear axle. It got damaged off-roading years ago, and while we were moving back and forth and towing and everything, it finally broke loose all the way. So I just had to straighten out the tabs and weld them back onto the axle. So that's done. This is done now.
You were able to weld off grid?
Yeah, with the generator and my little Hobart 140 did a good job. It was only on the second highest power setting on the welder too, so should be able to weld even more significantly than that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, worked good.
Right on. So we are several steps forward in the rabbitry here. Matt built this beautiful Dutch door so that the top half can be open to let air in and also to allow rabbits to hop on the floor under supervision because they like to dig. So there's of course more to do in here, but check out the beautiful new hutches that he also made for the does. So here's Eglantine kicking back in hers, and she's on top of one of these saltillo tiles that if you soak them with water, then they give an evaporative cooling effect. And Violet is next door. And Foxgloves is also here, and she's using her cooling tile all stretched out. But with these new cages, they are taller, so the rabbits can jump on top of their boxes. And they also have, safety wire, so babies cannot push through and fall on the ground, which babies are prone to doing. We lost several that way. So they're much happier. And on the other side, we've got Devin and Daisy. Devin's back in his original hutch. And hiding tucked back here, we have little Larkspur. And he's one of Foxglove and Juniper's babies that we're keeping. He's just so cute. And he's in the adult hutch area now. Can't wait to try breeding him back to Violet. And hopefully we'll get some more American does if the breeder ever contacts us. We've left so many messages, she's hard to get hold of. But we hope to breed purebred Americans, but he can still hybridize with them to do this Champagne American cross thing that we're playing with. Hybrid vigor. So, Daddy Juniper has the luxury bachelor suite still. He's enjoying his cooling tile. Right, Juniper? And he just loves when I open his door. He comes out and checks out underneath everybody's cages and tries his hand at a little digging. That's why he needs to be supervised when he's loose. But other ones can also... Oh, Gesundheit. Gesundheit. Yeah, anyways, I let the other ones have a little bit of hopping time on the floor as well. And eventually it's all going to be done up with the cinder blocks and the limestone. This paneling will be finished and secure, possibly insulated. We were talking about maybe insulating, and painted up and looking proper. Hopefully we'll get poop collectors, like waste collectors, so that all of their waste can go straight into the garden or the worm bins. So that is the new rabbit barn. It's so fun to be able to look out and see the view while I'm cleaning cages or interacting or feeding. And it's such a beautiful day. All the chickens are out sunbathing and dust bathing in their tractor run. And they have a new 3-gallon waterer. They still constantly kick straw in it. I'm always having to clean it. But that's okay because I like coming and checking on them anyway. And we're doing this thing where we're bale grazing them on this pasture. And then we're going to plant into it, as you saw Matt putting radish seeds last time. We also have some dry land pasture mix, and we have some poultry cover crop forage mix, as well as lots of other things. And the weather has just really heated up this week. We're in the low 70s instead of 40s through 60s. And for the first time, well, pretty much the first time, night temperatures are above freezing. So, like last night, I don't think our heater turned on at all. We have our heater set for 48 during the night, and it did not even turn on. I think it was 40 last night outside. So it's almost getting to be the temperature where we can sit outside and enjoy the stars at last. And out here is the center of the future rabbit garden. The first feature. It's a rabbit exclusion zone, strangely enough, but this is our first fruit tree guild. Our first trees planted on the property, which just thrills me to the core. Maybe you saw in earlier videos that I dug fertility pits here. So they're about 2.5 feet deep, and they're filled with compostables and rabbit litter. And then I dug around the outside, putting soil to make raised footpaths that should shed water into the pits and into the outer ring, which I'm going to plant up with stuff that the rabbits can nibble on through the fence, but cannot be able to dig. And so tree number 1, we went and bought some lovely plants at Christopher's nursery in Sholo. And this first one, I have a gift for finding the bargain basement. Even the workers there did not know that they had these. So this is a hardy rootstock apple. It's not for producing edible apples, it's just for the hardy rootstock, which we can then graft. We can take cuttings and propagate it if it stands up to the climate here, and then graft those. If it makes crab apples, that's fine for cooking or maybe making wine or feeding to livestock. If it just makes flowers, that's cool too. If it just makes rootstock and leaves, that's great, as long as it lives. And then over here, this is a triple crown thornless blackberry. Very tiny. Somebody seems to have rooted it upside down. You can see the buds are pointing down back into the soil. So I planted it here, thinking that it's one of the more amended areas of the fertility pit. When I dug down into it, it was already starting to grow soil in there. The pit is, with the litter and the compostables. So that's why I planted this guy, thinking it needed a lot of help. Next to it is a Heartlit Pear. It said it's semi-self-pollinating. And so, at a tree nursery, trees can be very expensive, but these bargain basement ones, that one was $10. This berry vine was $15, so that's more of an ordinary big box store price. This apple stock, just $7.99, and red raspberry for also $15, and this one's doing really well. So Sholo is zone 5 and we're zone 6, so I'm hoping that we'll be successful with these. I've got more in the house waiting, planting. Over here in our propagation station, I've got more Christopher's purchases. We've got some oregano, some sage, peppermint, rosemary, and sorrel, and those are going to go into that fruit tree guild. This box of radishes are cropping up, but taking their time to develop. I think we planted those on the 6th. Matt already cut the apple rootstock because it was in the way when it was indoors, and so we're hoping to root those. And in the back there's a local lady who sells willow starts, so we've got 3 willow starts I need to pot out or plant out. And we got some fungus going on in here, but in spite of that, we've got some great sprouts, little seedlings cropping up. Oh yeah, and there's the thyme from Christopher's as well. These herbs for $4 to $4.50, I think, $4 to $5. Down here are all kinds of chilies and tomatoes. Tomatillo, tomato. Most of them we bought from nativeseedsearch.org. And then Fairy Morse brand cherry tomatoes there. So these were sitting on the heat mat for some time and they got a good head start. Now it's this group's turn. And then down here, haha. This was crazy. We saw the first sprout of these ladies pop up yesterday, and now, well, I counted them this morning when I first got up and there were 17, and then after coffee Matt counted them and there were 25, and I don't even know how many there are now. That's a mystery plant for you to guess about. So that is our propagation station. So here is a grape. It is a red seedless, I think it's called Reliant, and we're hoping that will be a nice table grape. And then next to it are the 2 expensive ones. Those are hardy pecans. So even though they're $40 for little stubs, I mean, tree prices are very high. I don't know if you've looked. But so these are more slow growing, but they're going to get giant. So I have to pick carefully where I want to put those. They're going to need water to get established, but then we have plans to put like a watering tube down deep so we can root water them. And I don't know. I guess you'll just have to stay tuned. So this is dozen number 2 out of 4 that we currently have in the refrigerator. So back at the old place, my son used to eat a lot of quiche, and I would put over a dozen in the 2-pack of pie crusts. But now that it's just Matt and I don't like to eat like fried eggs or egg tasting things. So have to get to baking, have to make more pasta, other sorts of things that use up eggs for both of us. One of the only, well, like pancakes and French toast, I'll eat eggs for breakfast. So more of that sort of thing to use these gorgeous things up. Locally, I've seen people selling their fresh eggs for $3 a dozen out here. With only 4 dozen at this point. I don't know, that's not worth selling yet. Although it will become definitely part of our program. Well, that's about it for what's going on. Well, actually, at the beginning of April, we're receiving an order of 50 straight-run black Australorp chicks and 4 broad-breasted turkeys. So we have got to get the brooder set up. We received a brooder in the mail that we purchased, but we need to set it up with their we're probably going to put them in storage tubs with the brooder light warmer thingy, and that's going to be all solar powered. So it's funny how things just kind of assemble themselves as the time crunch gets closer. And on that note, Thanks for joining me on this visit to our homestead. Cheers and blessings.